Welcome to the show.
This guy got a mistletoe belt on.
Gosh, that is bad.
The whole plane smells like weed.
Those were the days.
It's a joke, you idiot. Looked in the mirror, I'm like,
Good old innocent fun. Welcome back, everybody, to Troublemakers, the podcast where each week we bring on a guest and they tell crazy stories about their lives. I'm your host, Dylan Krasinski, coming to you from a beautiful day in Astoria, Queens. And with me, as always, is my number two, my enigmatic co-host, my man with the plan, everybody, Mr. Ray Zawodni.
Hey, Dylan, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And more importantly than thanking you, but only slightly more importantly, because, I appreciate you. But more importantly, I do want to thank everybody that makes this show possible by watching it. And that is all of you checking us out, whether you're watching us on YouTube, full video episodes, or you're listening to us on the different streaming apps for podcasts, or you are just watching reels and shorts. We appreciate you all, and you can do us a huge favor that's really easy to do. No, you don't got to send us a bunch of money. All you have to do is just engage with us. Leave a rating and review on the streaming apps. Leave a comment, share some stuff.
Oh, leave a little comment. You guys have been doing that. We appreciate the comments, baby.
And if you're going to leave a comment, I do have just a word of advice, and maybe an advice that sounds like a threat. But if I do go out there and I see that there is a negative comment, what I am going to do is I am going to go into your house when you're not home. I'm going to hide in your closet, and I'm going to wait till you're changing in your bedroom. I'm going to take a bunch of pictures of your naked body, and then I'm going to send them to your boss from your address, making it seem as though you are trying to show them your dick and balls, and they're going to fire you. It's going to ruin your life. Nobody else is going to hire you because you're going to be fired as a sexual offender, and nobody's going to want to touch that. And they may press charges. So, think twice before you comment on something about how you don't like the pod, or, wow, two more white guys talking about stuff on the internet. Don't do it, or it's your ass. Anywho, we have a wonderful episode today. We have a wonderful guest. Returning guest, the absolutely hilarious, one of my good buddies, Brennan Tasseff.
My good buddy, too. Let's get into it.
And he knew that whole group because whenever the WCW would come into town, they would all hang out together. And so he used to still tan there years out, like he basically retired and everything. And I walk in one day through the back door, and as I'm walking up the hallway, I hear that voice. He's like, we were just...
This is where the big boys play, huh?
And I come around the corner, and the owner knew I was a huge fan. So I come around the corner, and fucking Big Sexy, the Diesel, Kevin Nash, is just sitting in one of the hairstylist chairs, just talking shit. And I was like...
That's awesome.
And my buddy Paul was like, you know Kevin, right? And I go, I don't think we've ever met.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, how you doing? And then he worked out at a bodybuilding gym, like serious workout guys, literally across the street in downtown Daytona.
Yeah.
So he walks out the front door, and I was like, holy shit, that was Kevin Nash. He goes, the owner goes, you need to go outside and give him a wolf pack. I go, I'm not going to do that. That's weird. He goes, if you don't do that, I'm going to fire you right now. And so I ran out, and I was like, Kevin. And he turned around, and I went, ow! And he went,
well, you know what, though?
Oh, that's cool.
I feel like out of all people, with some level of celebrity, wrestlers are the ones that would like to be
acknowledged
the most.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't even know who Kevin Nash is.
What?
That's because you were one of those kids that wasn't allowed to watch wrestling.
No, I watched wrestling. I watched WWE though, not WCW. He was
a big part of W. I mean
later, but
earlier when he was Diesel. He
get him
off the ground.
And then that whole the whole thing that happened with the Wolfpack and NWO taking over the WCW, and this is in all those documentaries.
Oh, I know this guy. Okay.
He's in a lot of movies, too.
I think I know him from film.
Yeah, he's in a lot of movies. He's in Magic Mike, John Wick. He's in...
That's what I know him from.
Yeah.
Magic Mike.
Yeah, he's Tarzan.
John Wick.
They almost won. The WCW almost... They were like this close to winning. Vince McMahon talked about it in one of those documentaries.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I know he's the guard with the testosterone, the
longest yard.
What's it called? The lady pills.
Dude, he's had a pretty good movie career.
Yeah.
Well,
especially because we're in the industry enough, we know you get not a small check for those roles.
No, dude, he was like a main character in.
I mean, he probably made more for that than he did in like 3
Wrestling.
years of WWE.
Yeah.
Oh, Ray, I just watched Iron Claw
It's great.
the other day.
Did you cry?
It was. You know what? I did a little bit, but I saw the ending before I watched it.
Well, I think I spoiled it for you.
You spoiled it for me.
Well,
You
I know
told me
about wrestling,
it.
so I already knew the ending.
Did you see the movie?
I didn't watch it yet, though.
No, so-
I'm so worried I'm gonna like sob the whole time.
So I knew I knew the end, like the Von Erich story, but there is 2 back-to-back lines at the end of this movie that just fucking broke me.
Really?
Ruined me.
I gotta
pretty.
watch it.
It's pretty.
It's
bad.
it's like, you know, it's like one of those things like if there's anything about like, you know, like siblings or like, you know, now like father and son, it like fucks me up,
Yeah.
dude.
The,
I get like way too sentimental.
Yeah, the lines at the end that you told me about and kind of spoiled for me months ago. I watched, so I knew it was coming. It didn't hit me as hard, but the one that got me was no spoilers, but when they're all together towards the end on the dock.
Yes.
That one.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
it's a good movie. I think
You gotta watch it. It's
Every
good.
time I see it come up on the streaming thing, I think it's on HBO or whatever.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, I'm like, I don't want to sob today.
I'm not ready
Yeah,
for it.
and you got to give. It's one of those movies like I feel like you can't just like put it on and fuck around on your phone.
No,
You
well,
gotta
I don't
sit
do. I'm
there.
a huge movie guy, so I don't do
Me
that
too.
anyway. But it's just, I mean, I have that whole bit about like using movie lines in real life.
Yeah.
But it has to be from movies like Mighty Ducks 3 or A Knight's Tale or something like that. Then in the bit, I talk about how I tried to use a line from Hook one time with my dying aunt, and she was like, "Did you just fucking quote Hook to me?" And I was like, "That was nominated for Academy Awards. That was a stupid idea."
Was it really nominated?
I went too
It's
far.
So good.
It's Steven Spielberg.
It's so good. That movie, man.
Dude, do you remember the wrestler Virgil Vincent?
Yeah.
That sounds so familiar.
So he was like the $1 Million Man sidekick,
Okay.
and I was a huge wrestling fan, and my dad saw him at the casino gambling, and
Such a wrestler move.
and
Oh yeah.
yeah, Virgil, and
Maybe I don't know him. But
so
yeah.
it was like at the prime when I was like into wrestling. I was like 10, 11, you know. Virgil was in the NWO too for a little bit.
That's how I know him.
But my dad approaches him at the casino. My dad's all drunk and shit, and he's like, "Hey, my kid's a big wrestling fan, man. I remember you from wrestling. Is there any way I can get an autograph?" And the dude's like, "Dude, I'm just trying to fucking play cards." And was like real rude to my dad at first. So then like my dad's doing the whole like, "Fuck this fucking guy. He's not even one of the good wrestlers," you know? And like a half hour later, Virgil rolls up to him with a photo, like an NWO photo of him autographed, and was like, "Hey, here it is for your kid."
Wow.
Yeah. Then fast forward about 15 years after that, I'm at a casino in Pittsburgh, Rivers Casino. He was like from that area. Me and my buddy Matt are all drunk at the casino. We're at the craps table, and my friend Matt's a huge wrestling fan. He was like, "Holy shit, dude! Look to your right." And Virgil was at the craps table.
Wow,
He's
he loves playing games.
He's got a problem, and he had
Yeah.
way less money than we did. And every time he's getting ready to roll, my buddy Matt would go, "Everyone has a price," which was the $1 Million Man's like theme song. And he'd roll, and then he finally kept going, "Hey man, you guys gotta stop."
I'm losing so much money right now.
Everyone has
and
a
it's not
price.
helping. I was only big into wrestling. I know you, and I'm assuming you were big into wrestling.
Growing up in Florida, it was the thing. There was a bunch of indie circuits down there.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I was when like the prime. What was it? The prime of the WWF.
The Attitude Era
with
is
like,
what, yeah.
The Rock and Stone Cold, and yeah.
I
that
still, to
was-
this day, when I throw a glass in the glass bin at work, I still go, when it shatters, I still go, da-na-na-na-na-na.
I think I do it if when a bartender drops a glass, it is like knee jerk.
Yeah.
The thing. And I go, "Also, are you okay?" Hey, you didn't cut yourself, did you?
It's such a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Well, that's another thing. Like, did your parents like wrestling? At
My
all?
dad liked it. My mom did not.
So my mom liked it. Actually, had a big crush on Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
She would always be like,
Who doesn't?
She'd be like, "Is Nash wrestling?" I'd be
My,
like,
it's funny you say that because now that I'm thinking about it, I think when my mom would like walk through and see us watching it, she'd be like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
to Kevin Nash,
big sexy.
yeah, he's 7'2".
My dad's.
Oh my God.
My dad did not like it. He thought that it was super gay, and.
They're wearing tights.
And I remember I was like, "But Dad, you'd really like this Stone Cold guy, right?" And he's drinking. He's like, I don't like this guy that wastes fucking half his beer down his chest. Like a whole beer there he's wasting.
I love that that's your dad's pet peeve.
God, that's hilarious.
Dude, my parents hated wrestling. My dad, didn't care. My mom was very against it. We would never get the pay-per-views. So Sunday night, they would do the pay-per-views. I was in like 6th grade. And then I remember my bus driver at the time, this old woman, probably realistically in her 40s, and she used to give me the VHS tapes every Monday.
Wow.
And I would go home and I'd watch it.
That's
and then
sick.
I'd
That's
give
pretty
it back
awesome
to her.
of her.
Yeah,
It was pretty sick. Yeah.
She rips, dude.
Yeah, she was pretty awesome.
That's what we had. We had one of those illegal pay-per-view boxes.
Ooh.
We had still pay-per-view, so I would watch
That
them
checks
all.
out.
That
checks out.
I'd watch them all at my grandpa's house. It was fucking great.
Didn't you tell me that the FBI came to your grandpa's house?
They were somehow able to track where those went.
Yeah.
Those pay-per-view boxes.
All this, even back then, electronics all have an address. They all have a print.
An IP number or something.
And they came to his house and they were like, we're not going to fine you, but we are going to need you to smash that shit.
Wow.
Did he smash it?
Yeah, he had to smash
Speaking
it.
of troublemakers, baby.
I
That's the big
The
one, dude.
FBI shows up.
Well, that wasn't the only time the FBI raided his house. Is when I was I saved his ass because I was like a little kid crawling around.
Saved his ass.
And he was like one of the more prominent bookies in the Pittsburgh area.
I thought you were going to say one of the more prominent heroin distributors.
Well,
one of the more prominent prostitutes in the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah, he was sucking and fucking his way through the Steel City in the mid '70s.
Steel Town.
But yeah, they came.
Nickname for his mouth. Steel Town.
Steel Town.
Pipesville. But yeah, they came and raided the house because to find money, find his phone calls and stuff.
You don't keep
that.
anything at the house though.
And he kept things very hidden.
Okay.
And they weren't as invasive as they should have been because there was a little kid running around, so they showed some mercy.
Wow, so you really did save him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they didn't find anything.
They didn't find anything.
Idiots.
That's pretty good.
He also used to record all of his phone calls, even that weren't the gambling ones, which is kind of
That's weird.
I mean, maybe that's a good move, though, because then the FBI is going to listen and they're just hearing I got to pick up bread and eggs. And they're like, this is boring as hell.
just my grandmother talking to her twin sister every day. So what did Raymond eat for lunch?
He had a whole bucket of chicken fingers.
I did, dude.
He's an eater.
I used to eat a lot. My grandma was fucking the reason I'm a fat asshole. But also the reason I had school clothes. So it's, you know what I mean? It's like you win some, you lose some.
You take the wins with the losses.
Dude, when you were younger, did you
Are we recording right now?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Okay. We were just like, hey, let's start. Let's get into it.
Hey, let's kick it off. Hey, everybody. Welcome to...
We stopped doing the intro. We do it before.
I was wondering. Yeah,
we
you
do
guys
it
had
after.
it. Okay,
We had it in
yeah.
post now.
That's what I do with mine too.
Yeah.
Well, I do 2 intros.
And we've noticed, though, it flows better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do the subscribe, rate, review, all that shit at the beginning.
Yep.
In post, I add that, and then I always do the intro. You guys have been on when I scream and yell and do all that. I always do that with the guest in the room.
And you're always naked.
It always gets them excited.
Rip that shirt
Speaking
off.
of Steel Town,
Yeah.
I'm hard as a rock.
Why has this guy been hard for an hour podcast? How does he maintain that?
hey, I carry blue chews in the bag, baby.
Do you really?
Yeah, I got to keep them in my backpack.
way to
My
live.
anxiety is so bad that I love my girlfriend, but it's just one of those things where because my anxiety, I can't just randomly, sporadically have sex.
Interesting. Really?
Yeah.
Are you on any medication?
No, just the noises up here.
Just the noises up here paired with blue chews.
Yeah.
And those fuckers work well.
I just like it because this is the thing. Before I got sober, I would just drink. I could have sex, whatever, because I would just drink and I had no cares or worries in the world. But now it's one of those things where, if we start to get a little naughty, my brain, it works for the first, my systems are a go for the first, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then my brain will just start out of nowhere throwing shit at me.
Interesting.
And all of a sudden my penis is like, yeah, we're going home. We're packing it up. We're out of here.
We're going home.
Dicks can be a nightmare.
It
in
is
that situation.
the worst nightmare I've had my entire life.
You
is
know,
my penis.
you gotta speak positively to it.
I know,
you know?
but it's just
You're like, hey man, I get it.
Let's
You're
go.
great. You need to take a break. We'll take a break.
I think it's just playing sports my whole life and being in those locker rooms. I'm like, you worthless piece of shit.
It's like, oh yeah, remember all that shit you talked about me? I'm not coming.
Yeah.
I'm not. You were a bully my whole life, and now we're not
look
friends
at all these
anymore.
giant, huge cocks in the locker room. I'm not coming out to play.
Dude, were you a bigger kid, like a fat kid?
Oh yeah, I didn't have my
kid?
growth spurt till I was a senior in high school.
Oh, did you have this? I know. So I went to like Catholic school for a good part of my life, and we had to wear uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember going every summer. We would go to this mall that had this like the Catholic school
uniform store,
right? You did that.
And elementary school, we had uniforms. So,
Dude, I always used to get. I swear to God, like years in a row, I would get these pants, I would get this shirt, and then different ladies would always be like, yeah, we'll get him this size. Yeah, you're probably going to lose a little weight this year, right? Yeah. I was like, I mean, I guess, dude.
They're motivating you with tight clothes.
Yeah, they would always give me tight pants.
I do that to this day.
Me too.
To myself,
works.
where I'm like,
It doesn't.
I was up to 315 at one point when I stopped playing football and got super duper fat. And I remember when I lost the weight when I got sober and went to rehab and was like working out and stuff, and I lost the weight. I was like, I will never go back to buying anything bigger than a 36 waist.
Yeah.
And it has bit me so hard in the ass.
Dude.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like in a relationship and we're in love and we're moving in together and I've kind of, I'm not watching what I eat as much and stuff.
Yeah.
So I put on a few pounds and now my 36s are tight.
Dude.
But I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Dude, I haven't seen a 36 in like 10 years.
I am still rock a 32, 34, and they work. But it's, I mean, I got skinny legs.
You got small hips.
Yeah. Small hips.
Yeah.
So it works. It's just all in the waist, you know?
It's interesting you say that. One of my best friends, the original drinking buddy, the reason I started the podcast, we wear the same waist. But he is he's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
You can say a balloon?
Let's say a blob of a human being. That's really mean, though. I love Dan.
A balloon? You didn't have to say his name.
Shout out, Dan.
You're like him, he might know, but now everybody else
knows. But no, I love him to death. He's one of my best friends. But it was just weird because I think I got drunk at his house one time and I tore my pants. This is like when I just stopped playing college football, so I was in good shape. And I was like, oh, I wear a 36. And he's like, yeah, me too. And I was like, there's no fucking way we wear this. Yeah.
You're furious, dude.
Like, I work out 6 days a week. There's no way we wear the same size pants.
Yeah, but he's probably really uncomfortable.
And also it's one of those things where around the waist, like, if you have a nice little waist, you can make it work. And then your belly just goes over it.
That's what I do.
Dude,
you know how many fucking men's warehouse suits that I've had to throw away
after
really? Immediately buying? Dude, these old men.
Hotshot over here just throwing away clothes.
Men's warehouse
ain't cheap.
They would be like, oh, I would be like, I'm a 34, 36 regular. And then they would measure you and they'd measure you around the belly button.
And you're like, no,
you're a 48. And I would be like, he's like, you got to wear it up here, dude. You got to wear it around your belly button.
Who does that? This isn't the 40s anymore.
I'm like, I look like a balloon, dude. I look like a balloon. And then they fall and it looks like I'm wearing Jenko.
You look like a fucking oil tycoon.
Yeah.
Listen here, kiddo.
Hello there.
It looks like I refuse to give money to homeless people.
Well, I still
which
do
I
that,
do, but I don't want to look like it.
Did I tell you guys about when I got mugged in the city? Speaking of,
I don't think so.
That happened recently?
Yeah, well, I mean, the last time I was on the show was a couple years, I guess a year and a half ago.
Yeah, last year probably.
So, I was walking through, and mugging is kind of bearing the lead. It wasn't like a full mugging, but I was walking through Times Square on the way to my studio for my podcast, and a guy dressed as a Tibetan monk walked up to me and just grabbed my arm and put the bracelet on.
Oh
me.
yeah, that's a scam.
And I was like, I don't even look like a tour. Like, I'm not. My phone's not out. I know exactly where I'm going. Like, I have a backpack like every fucking New Yorker. Like, what the fuck's this guy's problem? And then he goes, donation, donation, donation. I go, I'm sorry, man. I don't have any money because I do not pull my wallet out in the city. Period.
No way.
And I go, I don't have any money. And he goes, donation. And he was like getting kind of like aggressive.
Take your bracelet back,
so I pulled my wallet out and I opened it and he goes, oh, mucho dinero, which is not Tibetan. That's Spanish. And then I turn it into a bit, obviously you can tell. But then he literally went mucho dinero and then just grabbed all the cash out of my wallet.
Holy
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
And I always put my ones first. because if I do end up having to pull my wallet out, I want people to think I don't have money. But if I have bigger bills, I put them behind the ones. So had I had anything but $4, I would have fought this Tibetan monk like in Times Square.
Yeah,
because he just reached out and went like this and just grabbed it. And I was like,
fucking slap his hand and be like, what are you doing?
And as we talked about the last time I was on, I try not to get overly aggressive.
Sure.
Because like we were talking about with the movie theater thing where you're like, I'm going to throw you down the stairs to your manager. I just re-listened to the episode.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, that's what sprung the whole thing was I was like, I put it up on social and you're like, we got to have you back on. And I was like, all right, so this is all fresh in my mind. But I'm always worried I'm going to like, I was like, don't. Because you hit somebody, and then they hit the ground weird, and then you're in prison. So I was like, all right, it's $4, like whatever. And I just walk.
Let it go.
Now I actually walk around the long way to the studio.
That's fucked,
like Will Ferrell and Step Brothers. We should take the long way home.
Do you still wear the bracelet?
No, I didn't throw it away, though, because I'm a very...
You should wear the bracelet.
I'm a superstitious kind of guy.
At this point.
Dude, this was something that I just...
Cartel made.
New York City does not have the craziest people of any city. I do not think that. I think some people. I think it gets that label that like. But I was in Philly on Saturday, and I'll pose this to you how I posed it to the crowd. I said I've been here since 6 p.m. and I've already like had a day, you know, and so two truths and a lie. These are the three things I said. 2 truths and a lie of what I saw. 1, I saw 3 separate white women with cornrows in their hair. 2, I saw a drug overdose in broad daylight. 3, I saw a guy walking through the park with a giant snake wrapped around his arm.
I'm going to say it's a trick question. They're all truths.
Yes, they are all truths. God damn it, dude. It was insane. The fucking guy overdosing is like throwing up on the ground, and I almost didn't notice him, but he like tail whipped me like while he was like
touched you,
dude. He kicked me in the like
I hope you executed him right there on the spot.
That's like when a rat runs over your foot, and you're like, you feel it for days.
And I had the
hot.
And I had the thing where I was like, fuck, man. I was like, should I do something? Should I call 911? Like
they're not coming.
But I was like, I don't even live here. This isn't really my problem, you know. And I looked around a little bit, and I saw there was a guy on his phone, and he was real close, and he was staring like, you know, like he was staring pretty like intently at this guy overdosing, and I was like, he's probably calling somebody. He got it taken care of.
Just take it off.
Unbelievable. Dude, you're the guy. Who was that? What's the name of the girl who got assaulted in the city and then got murdered? And in like a courtyard, and everyone was like, "This is years ago, like the 90s or 80s."
Oh, I don't even know.
They were like, they interviewed everyone the next day, and they're like, "Didn't you hear it?" And they're like, "Yeah, but I just assumed someone else was calling." So that's what. Yeah,
I try to. It's really weird because I actually got a lot of shit in the South for being the kind of person that minds his own business.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like because in the South there's this like there's this neighborly hospitality.
Dude, it's the thing I hate most about New York is nobody makes eye contact with you. And like even like hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I went back to Jacksonville.
I love that, dude.
I went back to Jacksonville with my girlfriend Tracy, whom I contractually obligated to mention on any podcast that I do. I went back to Jacksonville with her, and she we were walking around the beach in February, moved to Florida. That's what I tell everybody.
Right.
And she goes, how long did you live here? And I go, like about a decade. She goes, you know everybody. And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, everyone says hi to you, and you say hi back to them. She's like, you know and I go, I'm not the fucking mayor. Like, that's just what we do down here.
You just say hi.
You just wave at people as you walk by them.
It's like the suburbs. You walk by someone walking a dog.
Give them a wave.
How's it going?
Yeah. How you doing?
How you doing?
Forget about it.
I don't know. My family's always kind of been like that. Like if somebody's like too friendly, they're like really weary of it.
Yeah.
And I remember
it's because your grandfather was a bookie.
That's true. But
don't mess with the Zawodnis.
Yeah.
There was one time me and my brother, we were getting ice cream at this place in we were like on vacation. I don't know if I told you this.
No.
And my grandfather murdered 6 people that day.
He's only murdered 1 that I know of.
That's why he got kicked out of the military.
That's why he got a dishonorable, but it got overturned. So he died. He died an honorable veteran.
There we go. Died a hero.
But me and my brother, we go up to this ice cream shop and we like order our stuff and like my brother's just real freaked out by this dude's energy and he walks away. My brother's like, I think the guy waiting on us was retarded. And I was like, no, dude, I think he was just nice. I think he was just a nice guy. He was like, nah, I don't know, man. There's something wrong with him.
So I used to, even growing up in that environment, still, like, if people started, because I grew up in chaos, like there was a lot of yelling and stuff like that. So like if people were yelling, like neighbors, or when I moved out into my own apartment or something like that, like if I heard people yelling, or if my roommates were fighting with their girlfriend, I fucking left it alone.
You just turn it off.
Yeah, it's one thing, like if I'm watching someone physically like hurt somebody, then I'll do something. But if people are just screaming, that's my whole mode of communication. So I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like that's how people talk to each other. And I remember I lived with a guy for a few years, and we used to get drunk together, and then our downstairs neighbors, like across the thing in the apartment complex, would argue constantly. Jeez. And he loved getting drunk because she was very attractive and trying to like play the hero. So he'd be like, hey, let's go to the pool. And I'd be like, I know why you want to go to the pool, because I can hear why you want to go to the pool.
I know what you're doing. She's going to storm out and go to the pool.
And then, or he would just use it as an excuse to just be outside so he could go and bang on the door and be like, hey, I was walking by, like with his towel on and his swim trunks. And I remember being like,
six pack, dude.
I'm like, dude, they know where we live. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then I moved to New York, and almost everybody's like that, where you're just like blinders on, like, just not my problem. And I'm like, oh, I love it here.
Oh, dude.
I see people screaming, and I'm just like, excuse me, sorry.
There have been 2 times since living in the city that I've like reached out to the police about something, and both times they did nothing about it. The first was last summer, hot day, like 105 degrees, one of those days, heat wave, and there were these 2 people just passed out on the sidewalk, and everyone's just stepping over them. Yeah. And I was like, hey, I think that there are 2 people overdosing, and they were like, where? I told them, and they were like, dude, did you check them? I go, no, man, I kept walking. Them, but they were like, did you check the pulse? I go, no, this is your job.
Yeah,
like,
I gave him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
This is my contribution.
Yeah.
And then the other time, this is like 2.5 years
Did you wait?
ago. No, I kept going.
Oh, okay.
But I called them, and they were like, all right, well, I guess we'll send someone.
Maybe we'll send somebody,
I was like, okay. A couple hours later, I walked by, no one was there. So either they died, or they got help, or they woke up and...
You saved them. You're a hero.
Or they spontaneously combusted.
Maybe it was very hot.
I have the biggest fear of that.
Did you spontaneously combusting?
Of you just blowing up?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Dude, there has been no one in the history of the world who has spontaneously combusted ever.
There was a rumor about it when I was in middle school. One of those like, hey, did you hear? And then it's just always been a fear of mine.
Oh, my God.
You know what you shouldn't do if
you're
more
nervous about an aneurysm?
You think I'm not nervous about an aneurysm? Every time I get a slight tinge in my head, not even a headache, just a little like, oh, what's that? I'm like, I'm dead. Check it out.
To be fair, I think if you have an aneurysm, you're just done so.
Can I ask you guys this? I know I'm kind of getting us all off track. Would you rather die in your sleep, or would you rather like know that it's coming?
That's a tough one.
For the longest time growing up, I was like, oh, if I die, like I want to get like stabbed in the stomach so I could be like fully embrace the fact that I was dying.
It's the worst.
Yeah. But as I've gotten older and had a few near-death experiences that we talked about on the last episode, go check that out.
Putting your head through a window.
Yeah, and the liver failure from alcohol poisoning.
Oh yeah.
When I ended up in the hospital. But that when I finally came out of those kind of things, I was like, yeah, maybe I don't want to know. Maybe I just want to go. Sleep. Yeah.
There is something about it where you're like, if it's like a long process, you could say if you're like sick,
you
could say goodbye to people. Yeah. You know? But still, that's hard for everyone else who knows you.
Yeah, and also to go quietly into the night because like I've had one of my grandfathers, one of them died suddenly, and he was the Green Beret, like the fucking man, and he was just like had a stroke in the middle of the night, and he was done. And I was like, yeah, it's a fucking G, man.
That might be nice.
Because my other grandfather slowly withered away, and it's that thing where it's like, God, this. Like the care that needs to be taken, and the like you have to hire all these people and the money and all this kind of stuff to just like slowly wither away is like, God, that sucks.
I think I want to die in a sword fight.
That would be sick.
But after I've already vanquished like 20 of my enemies,
and then
style.
And then maybe I don't know, like years and years later, the son of one of the guys that I murdered comes and kills me, but I also still kill him.
Princess Bride. Princess Bride
Yeah,
style.
like an Inigo Montoya type of thing.
Okay.
Except I'm the good guy.
Like
I'm
a
the good guy.
Looper situation where like you only have 30 years
Good movie.
left. So
good movie. Could have been so much better.
I never
thought.
saw it.
Really?
Left a lot
I
on the table.
loved
What,
it.
you mean me going back in time and killing myself?
Yeah, but like once you die, like okay, so like once you murder those guys, would you rather know that you have like 20 years before the sun comes for you, or would you rather it be a surprise?
Well, the type of lifestyle I'm living as like a modern day Ronin is where I know
I was
that
trying
I
to
could,
stay serious.
is that I know that I could go at any time.
Yeah.
So I mean,
You're prepared.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Your
Robert De Niro
finances
and
are in
Heat.
order.
Yeah, yeah.
Your estate is planned.
death is inevitable, and I know it's going to come, and I'm just waiting until Mother Nature takes me, or until somebody who's bad enough takes me.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's the other thing, too, that kind of bothers me is there's so many people I know, and obviously all of us, because death comes for everyone, but like you'll make plans. Like, yeah, we should get together. I'm free like next year. And then something small will happen. Like they'll, be like, oh, I got to go to the store. And then as they're like getting out of the car, they trip on the curb and now all of a sudden they're bedridden for like the rest of the, but you know what I mean? Like these little, like my grandmother will sometimes her feet are really bad. And I'm always terrified that like, because I only see her like every couple of months when I go back to Florida. And I'm always worried like one time she's going to fall and then boom, it's just like she's not going to be able to walk anymore. And I'm like, but it changes just like that. And it's so weird when people, because I hide my instant gratification and my addiction like tendencies. I hide that as like kind of noble. Like you could go at any time. You never know. So if we're going to do this, we should do this now.
Yeah.
And then my credit card company's like, yeah, you made it another month, dude. We're going to need that money back. And I'm like, damn it.
See, what you're making a sobriety argument, but to me, all I'm hearing is an argument to not be sober and to take everything every day and do what you want.
But that is a big thing. I'm always real big on like my girlfriend's a planner. She's like, yeah, we'll do this in 6 months. And coming from the lifestyle that I came from, I'm like,
Yeah.
I could be
Let's do
dead
it now.
Yeah, I'm like, I could be dead tomorrow. Like, what are you talking about? Which is also why I'm like negative in my Acorns account. Like, I don't save money.
You know what I think is
I don't think it's possible to be negative in an Acorns
Oh, it's
account.
possible.
you know what's
The
fucking
market takes a turn, and
it's bullshit that when you die your debts aren't just absolved. Because I think that should happen.
I mean, a lot of them are.
yeah,
Sometimes.
A lot of them are, but then some of them get like
Well, some of them are
Student loans.
predatory. Like they'll come after your family and stuff.
Yeah.
But you technically, you don't have to. Like your family doesn't. It's not like it goes on their credit report, but they'll just
they
come after.
Come
it.
out of the estate
but
typically.
it comes out of the estate.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they'll
yeah.
take that, which I think is bullshit. It's like that should
That's
be
why I got life insurance a long time
that
ago.
should be your reward for
Smart.
dying.
Yeah.
Can I tell you? Oh, the second time that I talked to the cops.
Oh yeah.
So the second time, and Ray reminded me, I was walking. It was it was like 11 o'clock at night. I was in the Lower East Side walking
As you
from the old comedy club that was there, and walking to the train. And there was a guy in front. You might have been with me. I don't remember. I think you were. There's a guy in front of us who is just in the park right outside on the sidewalk, swinging a samurai sword around.
Now I wish I was there.
And I go, hey, we should probably cross the street. We cross the street.
Got the Ronin with you. What are you talking
I know. He's swordless, though. And 2 blocks up, there's a cop car sitting on the side of the road. And I go, I'm going to say something.
Yeah.
And I walk over, and they're both on their phones. I go, hey, excuse me, guys.
Hey, how you
Excuse me, gentlemen. I don't mean to interrupt your
Dylan Esquire here.
Angry Birds game. But there's a guy right up the street, 2 blocks, and he has a samurai sword that he is swinging around in public. And they go, I mean, is he threatening anybody? I was like, is he threatening anybody? I mean,
It blows
he's
my
got
mind,
a sword. And they go, all right, I guess we'll check it out. And they just drove up. And I was like, that was
You
insane.
just see him keep driving.
I was like, no, he's right there. Why are you turning?
They drove up and they're like, Kevin, we got more complaints. You didn't hit anybody, did you? No? Okay.
Put your sword away.
Carry on.
Well, it is weird too because I think about all the times I've been arrested because it's been 8 times, and I
shit.
always think about the thing that bothers me is like whenever I was incarcerated, I would always like tell I would you talk to some of the COs and stuff that are in there, and I'd always be like, yeah, this is why I'm here. And without fail, every single one of them would be like, man, I'd have let you go. And it's like, where the fuck were you?
Yeah.
That's why you're in here.
That's why you're here and not on the street.
Yeah, but it was always weird to me because like it always seemed like petty shit. But what I've noticed is that
What's the most petty thing that you've been arrested for?
I had a cop one time come to my dorm room because we talked about this last time. But at FAU, they're Boca Raton police officers. We don't have like campus police; they're actual cops.
Yeah.
And I remember I was getting really drunk, and a cop showed up and was banging on my dorm room door, and I was just screaming at him from the top of the stairs down the stairs.
Yeah, okay.
No, that's a different one. That's another one. This has happened a few times, but this is in a dorm room. The one I told you guys about was at an apartment, and I slammed the door on the pizza. Yeah. This one, I was actually eating my Domino's, yelling at the cop.
Yeah.
And then he just came upstairs and dragged me out of my own dorm room.
Oh my
Just for like yelling at him. And like thinking about all this stuff, I realized like, oh, obviously it's up to the cops like discretion, but if they want to make a problem out of it, they will.
Yeah.
But it's only for them. Like, it's not to serve and protect. It's not for other people. It's like,
an ego.
you fucking pissed me off, so now you're going to pay.
I mean, you could have probably sued.
Yeah, but...
Comes in the house without,
Without anything?
Without anything, drags you out.
I think, though, because I was living on campus, I think there's that whole thing where you, like, sign your life away, and you're like, yeah, the Boca Raton police can do whatever they want.
It's fucked.
But, yeah, again... It just made me realize, because there's so many times like you guys are talking about where you're walking on the street and you'll see like a group of cops like talking and someone's ODing like, right? And it's like, just give them some Narcan or something. Like, what are we doing?
We're just hanging out. We're just getting paid to stand around.
And then now they have the National Guard just hanging out. And I'm like, cool. I'm glad I pay a state income tax here. This is great.
Did you hear
this is awesome.
The mayor, Adams, was talking about how he wants to put state troopers in the
I have
subways.
never been more Republican until I moved to New York City. When I got my first paycheck, I was like, what the fuck is this? Half? You took half?
Dude, it's great. He goes, we're going to put state troopers in. And the reason that he was like trying to get people, he goes, they got great uniforms. They got real nice uniforms. Everyone wants to see a good uniform in the subways.
You know who doesn't care about the uniforms? The people throwing people on tracks.
Yeah, the people throwing shit at each other. Yeah, no one cares. That's crazy.
Do you guys ever look for fights while you're out? I got a knock on wood because I do this sometimes.
For you to fight?
Yeah. Sometimes when because I'm clear minds, full hearts. Can't lose.
Can't lose. Tim Riggins.
You show up drunk, we all show up drunk. Saying about you, Riggs.
That was a good impression, dude.
I can do black real well. I'd ask you to cut that, but I don't fucking care. But
Smash Williams, dude.
TV show or movie? What do you like better?
I like the
Friday
TV
Night
show.
Lights.
Yeah, TV show.
I like TV show better.
I was a movie one.
The movie I like, but
I think I'm a little older
TV
than you
show
guys,
is a
but
little
the
more
movie
fun.
was like the movie hit like when I was a senior in high school, and I was
same.
Like,
I was a junior,
Florida.
senior during football season.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is what we play for.
I think the movie was just a little too intense.
A little dark.
Yeah,
I love it when fucking Preacher gives the halftime speech.
That's real good.
And he's like, they did 2 days. We did 2 days.
They bleed just like we do.
They sweat just like we do.
That's pretty
We
good.
did 2 days at 110-degree heat.
Well, that's what it is. You're more intense. I like the storyline of fucking Riggs banging Streeter's chick.
Yeah,
you know?
I like the drama.
I need a little dab of Dawson's Creek.
I like, that checks
in my
out.
coffee.
Well, probably one of the greatest scenes in the TV show is when what was the quarterback's name? Stratton? Street? No, not Street. The other one. The one that
Saracen.
Matt Saracen.
When they go to get Michael B. Jordan to be the quarterback, and Saracen goes to talk to Coach Taylor, and he's like almost in tears, and he's like, as a senior, because he wins the state championship as a sophomore, and then they're in his office, and he's like, I won you a state championship.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we're going with the other guy. He's like, what else do I... And, dude, that hit... I'm about to cry right now. That hit me right here where I was like, yeah, what else? Because this industry that we're in, it's like, what the fuck else can we do? Like, you still don't like us?
What do you think... This is kind of, we kind of touched on this a little bit when we did the duo pod.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't talk about this specifically. What do you think is the best football movie?
The Replacements.
That's literally what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's hands down my favorite.
I to be honest, I'd probably go Friday Night Lights, the movie.
Yeah.
It's
probably
the best football movie.
I love Friday Night Lights. Remember the Titans is up there for me too.
Remember the Titans pretty elite.
The reason I like The Replacements though is because I related to that more. Where it was like if I just had a shot,
Yeah,
like I relate to the Jon Favreau character so much.
I knew you were gonna say that, dude. The dude who's
Give me the ball. I'll get you the ball. Give me the ball. I'll get you the ball.
Dude, I
used to do
they're
that
just standing
at
there
practice.
next to each other, and he's like,
and then the whistle blows,
like,
and he just stops.
all right.
Yeah, I used to do that at practice. So my freshman year, we had a bunch of injuries, so I played fullback. But then during team drills, I would have to go and like be scout team middle linebacker, and I used to do the Danny from the replay. I would like pace like in the middle of the field, and I'd be like, "It's Christmas morning, and Santa's coming down the chimney." Right. And my coaches would get so angry. They're like,
oh, they didn't like it?
No, because I'm on scout. Like the guy, Rusty Smith was our quarterback. And obviously it's the whole starting FAU lineup. Like we won a bowl game that year. We won the conference. This guy's going to the NFL. And I'm over here like fucking with him. Like, I'm going to bury your family. Like running up to the line like I'm faking a blitz. Dude. They got so, my coach, I'll never forget, Coach Snellenberger was like, just shut up and run the play.
No, I like that.
Dude,
I like
especially
that
if
kind
you're
of energy.
mimicking. I was just watching this. They the one of the like the scout team guys when mimicking Max Crosby.
Yeah.
When they go up against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
One of the scout team chief players is like his goal is to mimic Max Crosby. So like after plays like giving like Mahomes
Elbows
a little
and
shove, a little
they get pissed
that whole week. And Mahomes would be like, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, keep doing that.
Well, because Mahomes is a
keep trying to
professional.
get under my skin.
There's a reason why Rusty Smith yelled at me because I intercepted him and then was out of the league in 5 years.
Yeah.
Who do you play for?
The Titans. He got drafted in the 3rd round. He broke every record in like Conference USA for throwing.
Damn, that's
he had this
cool.
weird release though, but he could fucking throw it a country mile. But he had this weird long release. But I
Like
picked him
Tebow.
off.
Like that, like Byron Leftwich.
Yeah. I picked him off in practice one day on scout team, and he was so angry. He was like, "You're supposed to be in cover 3, not cover 2." And mind you, I'm a running back just filling in, looking at the sheet like, "Okay, I got it." Because they would just hold it up on like a card, and then the scout like away from the offense, and the scout team defense would be like, "All right, we got it." But yelling and all that, like doing the shit, and then picking him off on top of it. And like I ran at the offensive line. I was like, somebody try to tackle me.
That had to feel good.
He's like, the fuck's wrong with you? Bah, 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 bah. So not everybody likes it when you do that kind of shit.
Yeah, dude. You know who he was? He was Vince Vaughn and Rudy.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's an elite football movie.
No,
I mean,
I don't
Football
either.
in it's not great.
Well, and
Bad.
the storyline, as someone who played at like a pretty high level, the storyline. I mean, I know it's a true story.
Yeah.
But the storyline is kind of
dude, when I played
like
in
they
high
would have
school,
bullied that kid out of the
Yeah.
locker room.
Yeah, when I played even in high school, I was like, oh, this is... And I played scout team, and I was like, I can't imagine being this guy. This is how I know I don't love football that much. I just like the idea of football. I kind of hated playing football.
Yeah,
I loved rugby.
Yeah,
but
I was
hated
big. I
it.
was big in that same vein of football until I got to college, and then I was like, I'll never forget this. This kind of lines up with the theme. We were going to. I was a freshman, and we are going to this bar. And I remember Jason Harmon. I'll say his full name because he's a great dude. Played tight end. Was on SportsCenter top 10 when Mike Jenkins. I don't know if you remember of Dallas Cowboy fame. Was like a 1st round corner that was taken. He played at USF. When we played USF, this is when they had Grothy and JPP and went like undefeated for most of the year. So we play them. They're number 2 in the country. We're not even ranked. We're playing them at home. And it was a very close game. And Jason Harmon jumped over Mike Jenkins. And I was like, there's your 1st round draft pick, baby. Leapt over him. And he was a tight end. He was like 6'4", like 230 and leapt over a 1st round corner.
That's pretty cool.
But I remember my freshman year, this was really early into it. And I talked about this last time, but like I stood up for myself finally. Like I wasn't getting bullied. You know, this is before I cut my face open.
Yeah.
and the coach, go back and listen to that story. The coach goes, "This is what we need.
This is the kind of intensity we need on this team."
Insane, dude. That's the program right there.
Yeah, I'm seated at the table. We go to a bar, and I turned to Jason because he was like a year older than me, and I turned to him. I go, "Hey, Jason, I don't have a fake ID. I'm only 18. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in." And he looks at me and he goes, "Tasseff, we're Division I football players in Florida. We can do whatever the fuck we want." And I was like, "Let's go!" Because a lot of the bouncers and people were like students that wanted to be good in with the football team, so they let us do. I mean, it wasn't insane like some of the crazy, like horrific stories you hear about, like some college athletes doing. But it was like just being able to get into bars and parties and stuff like that. It was nuts.
Did you saw the Florida documentary on ESPN?
I won't watch it.
No?
We played them that year, and
Did
so
you?
I won't watch it.
I mean, it was good. But it really was. What I wanted to see was the way they did it, but add an episode in there about all the trouble.
Yeah.
Like all like the.
That's the reason I
bad
don't like these
shit.
love letter documentaries.
It really
I
was a
hate
love
those.
letter to like that
but-
Florida team where I wanted to get the dirt. You
Yeah.
know, like the 30 for 30.
In its defense, some of the dirt was already done really well in other like documentaries
Sure.
and
Yeah.
like podcasts and stuff like that.
When the
So,
Aaron Hernandez thing was like very well done.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
And I say this all the time, but we played Florida that year, the 07 year. That dude, just something. You want to talk about the energy, like going into the ice cream shop, and like your brother was like, "That's a weird energy." That dude was weird energy.
I'm sure.
Like I didn't associate with him. We weren't like hanging out or anything because we were on separate sidelines. But just like after the game, just like a weird like aura around. Like, you're like, that guy's something's a little off.
That guy's a closeted gay murderer.
I didn't know at the time, but
you couldn't read all that.
But what I wanted to ask you guys was because we kind of got off track. The looking for a fight thing. You guys don't do that.
Oh
in the
no,
city.
no. Do you?
Yeah.
No, but
No, I don't do it. But sometimes I'm like, I wish I would. I wish somebody would.
well, I would do like a thing where I've talked about this. I used to do a joke about it, but like I will recognize like a problem. And I like plan this fight in my head, and usually it's a strategy that I'm like not capable of pulling off. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kick him. He's probably boys with this guy. I'm gonna fucking elbow him. But the one time I think I've told it on the story before is I was sitting on the train and I was like writing. I was about to go do a spot, and a guy comes on.
Hard flex.
And it's like this weather out right now.
Beautiful.
Right?
Makes people crazy.
And this guy, he's wearing long sleeves, long pants. He has on like a the COVID, but like it was the Mortal Kombat
Ski mask,
type ski mask, and sunglasses
In summer.
and a hat. And he comes on and he sits next to me, and I'm like, that's already weird.
Empty train,
But no, there's people on. There's
but like
people on there.
enough seats where he didn't have to sit right next
Could
to
have
you.
sat anywhere.
Correct.
Yeah.
He's like there's like a space and then him, and I hear him like I'm like just sitting there like right minding my business, and I hear him talking, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I just assume he's on the phone. He's probably on the phone, and then I start thinking about it after a while. I'm like, oh. We're underground. He's not on the fucking. There's no way that this guy with the dirty fucking jeans, because he had jeans that were dirty, where, either those dirty jeans were,
It's not after work blue
Yeah.
collar.
they were
jeans.
either after work blue collar jeans or they were his only jeans.
Yeah.
They were his pants. So I hear him and he's like talking shit though. It's like aggressive. I'm like, is this guy fucking talking shit on me? I'm like, no, dude. I was like, I'm just not gonna look. I'm not gonna look, but I am like, my legs are like tense. You know what I mean? Like I got
Yeah.
like my elbow ready to
That
like push
lactic
him
acid
off.
starts pushing out.
got, like-
your adrenaline starts going up.
like-
you feel that in the back of your throat.
My headphones
Oh,
have been
yeah.
completely turned off. And I like.
That's the move.
I got my pen now.
Silence him.
I'm like holding my pen. Like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna drop the fucking notebook and fucking
Stab him right in the
I even
throat.
hear him mention something about a thing that I was writing. Like he like read the thing that I was writing. I was like, what the fuck?
He's reading your jokes. He's like, that's
Stupid ass
Yeah,
shit.
he's like, damn, you gotta cut the fat off of that, man. That's fucking that joke ain't moving quick enough.
Bullshit.
He's giving me tags. No, but so I'm like, okay, that was
Your
probably,
mother. That's what you're supposed to say.
that was probably all in my head, right?
Yeah.
Dude stands up. It's his stop. He starts walking off, turns around, looks at me, and puts his hand out and goes, does
Fake
the
gun.
fake gun.
Wow.
Shoots it at me.
Really?
And I was like, what the fuck did I do? Just sitting here. I've never been like minding my own business more.
I think about lines to say as I'm walking. Like to your point about like, because my grandfather was an original Green Beret, so I used to joke with him about like, well, if I did this, how would you get out of it? Or if I did this,
Yeah.
And he taught me like all these moves.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, I'm basically a Green Beret, like because my grandfather showed me a move one time in the living room.
It's hereditary.
Yeah.
When you were 7.
Yeah. So, but when I'm walking, I always am like, I wish somebody would so I could say, and like I have the whole bit about movie lines, but it's true. Like I do that in real life where it's like someone pulls a knife, because I've got all these scars on my body. Someone pulls a knife and I could be like, I've been cut too many times to be scared by a knife.
Oh, that's good.
Like in my because it comes from the show Firefly, where someone cocks a gun at somebody and he goes, "I've been shot too many times to be scared by a gun, boy." And I'm like, "Oh, you can't say the boy thing because that's racist." But
so you want one of those moments?
But I think about it, or like if someone like tries to test me, I could be like, "You know how? Do you know how somebody who's been arrested 8 times still walks around? Because I'm loco, baby."
I like that.
Something like that.
You know what you do? I just saw the move that scares people is either to take your shirt off and be crazier if someone's trying to fight you.
Well, we talked about that last time. It didn't work for me.
You like load your fists up. Have you ever seen that?
Oh,
people,
no,
like,
that's...
load their fists.
I've had this happen before.
Oh, they do that in Henry Cavill does that in the one Mission Impossible.
Yes, yeah, he
does
like
he?
fucking loads his fists.
I do it where this is actually super funny that this actually intimidates certain people. But back when UFC was really big for like our generation, like when we were in college and everyone's wearing the tap out shirts and all that shit. And I remember a lot of fighters' stances like this. So for those of you listening, it's where
palms out.
Yeah, palms out, but closed fist, but your palms are facing the other person and they're away from your face, almost like you're ready to strike. And boxing, traditionally, you keep your hands like close to your face.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that like palms out thing, and I remember
they're like can catch almost.
Yeah. And I remember like I would get into like some tussles and stuff in jail or something, and you get in that stance, people think you can fight. Because it's a weird stance, but everyone watches UFC, so they're like, "Oh fuck, this guy might know what he's doing." I've actually had just that stance diffuse a couple of situations.
That's great.
Or you just pull out the Karate Kid crane kick. And
They're like, "What the?
That's
fuck?
not gonna work in prison."
You're just like silent, fucking lifting
That
your leg.
kick doesn't work.
You told us about last time one of the first fight you had to get into. When you went to
TV room.
Have you gotten into others in jail?
Yeah, in jails you get into little skirmishes and stuff. Only because it's like a lot of testosterone, and then like what happens is someone will like try to take your shit. They'll be like, "Yo, give me that tray," and you're like, "No, I'm not giving you the tray." And they're like, "Give me the tray," and then it's like
your food.
Trays are the trays of food, and then it just immediately goes right to a fight.
Yeah,
like there is no like mediator. It's just like, you give me the tray or we're gonna have a problem, and you go, "I guess we have a problem then," and then they go TV room and you're like, "God damn it."
That sucks so much.
Like we talked about last time where I got into a fight. You get into a fight right when you get there, and then I got into a couple like little tizzies here and there, but you make it a problem. Like I might lose this fight, but
that's such a good point.
You make it where it's like, do I really want to deal with this 6'1", 230-pound guy jumping on me? Like
you make it a tough day at work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, doing any show in Philly. It's just one of those things where you're like, God damn it.
Let's make it hard.
But yeah, so
that's a great point. Dude.
Yeah, you just make it difficult. And that's the other thing too, is like I was thinking about stories on the way here because I told a lot of the violent ones, the born in the darkness ones last time. But yeah, you just gotta make it tough for them.
Was that from Hook? I was born in the darkness.
Good poll, you fucking professional son of a bitch. No, the line I said to my aunt, she got diagnosed with ALS, and the line I said to her was, "Well, you know what, Aunt Nancy, to die would be a great adventure." And then she was like, "Did you just quote Robin Williams in Hook?" And I was like, I got greedy. It's weird to say that to somebody with a terminal illness.
That's just all the memory comes back, and they're like, you don't even recognize me, but you know Robin Williams? What the fuck?
When my dad was in the hospital, I used to piss him off because I would go in there and I would complain about like the most mundane of injuries that I had. I'd be like, God, dude, this fucking hangnail in my thumb, it's fucking killing me.
Did you do it on purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And but he didn't catch on always right away. He'd be like, dude, I'm sorry about your fucking nail.
I slept real weird last night. I got a crick in my neck.
Yeah.
I was like, you think what you got going on is bad?
Wait till I see my big toe.
Cancer. It hurts when I go up steps a little bit. Not really, but enough.
I'm a writer, and this hangnail is really getting in my way.
It's really affecting me. You got a splinter, dude?
Did I tell you guys about I talk about this on stage, and I talk about it in my one-man show, Ex-Drinking Buddy, a comics look at life, near death, recovery, and redemption. But
nice plug.
Did I tell you guys? Did I tell you guys the
mouthful.
story, speaking of troublemakers, about spending $26,000 in 28 days?
No, but that sounds right up my alley.
Jeez.
I know we talked about last time I got hit by a car on a bicycle because of my DUI. So I've 2 DUIs, a bunch of like drunken disorderlies, bar fights. Those are the arrests. Resisting arrest without violence, that one got dropped because you can't resist arrest unless you're being arrested for something.
It's true. Amen.
So long story short, fast forward, I get hit by this car on a bicycle 2 years later, almost to the day. I'm living in Daytona. I was staying with a friend on a lawn chair in his studio apartment. I moved back to Daytona in 2012. I lived with my mom for like a month, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah, that's horrible.
So I move in with a buddy of mine who has a studio apartment in Daytona, like Dirt-tona, Daytona, and I'm staying on a lawn chair because the studio, he has one bed. And so I'm just sleeping on this lawn chair. And then I get the check. My mom calls. She said, hey, I just got an overnighted check from your lawyers. I think it's your settlement check. And I go, I know it's my settlement check because I've been in communication with my lawyers. You need to bring that to me right now. She's like, it's Saturday. I go, right now. And I had, at the time, I think like a week before, because, you talk to your lawyers, a week before I knew the check was on its way, a buddy of mine, the guy who owned the tanning salon, hooked me up with someone who owned a business in historical downtown Daytona. And above their business was a vacant apartment. They're like, you can move in there. Just pay us for all 6 months, but we'll let you move in before you get the money, just so you have a place. So I'm living in there at the time, and my mom drops off the check. It's a Saturday. And I don't know if you guys know this, listeners, but back then, banks aren't open on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So I take the check. I take public transportation, the Votran, Volusia County Transportation, to an Amscott, which is a check cashing store.
Dude.
And I slammed it on the table, and I was like, what's up now?
Oh, I hate this so much.
And they were like,
I love it.
they were like, hey, this is a check cashing store. Like, we're not a bank. We don't have $26,000. Yeah. And I said, well, I need my money now, like immediately, and all the banks are closed. They were like, listen, this is what we can do. We can give you all the cash we have in-house that we're legally allowed to like give you, which is $3,000. We're going to take our cut of $1,500, and then we'll give you money orders for the rest. Or no, their cut was $2,000. And they go, we'll give you money orders for the rest. Damn. So they handed me $3,000 in cash. They took $2,000, and then they handed me like 19 money orders, all for $1,000 each.
God.
Like
Jesus
Monopoly
Christ.
money.
Yeah.
And I immediately walk out of there. This is before Uber and Lyft. This was 14 years ago. So I walk out of there and I call a cab service because I'm rich now.
Sure.
And the cab driver pulls up. His name is Dane. I talk about him in the show, but he looked like Giantsbane from Game of Thrones, like really big dude, like a really much fatter version of that, but like 6'4", like must have been
big
4'10",
guy.
4'15", huge red beard, huge red hair.
Oh, okay.
He had a skull hanging from his rearview mirror in the cab.
Oh, that guy's
Trouble.
awesome.
Dude, he was the fucking best. And I told him, I go, listen, Dane. I was like, I just got a huge check. I need to go spend this money. How much do you normally make in a day? And he's like, yeah, about $300. I go, here's $500. Will you be my bodyguard / driver for the day? And he was like, hell yeah, brother, let's do it.
Oh my God.
So he drove me to the place you go when you have all this money, Walmart. And I bought Xboxes and PlayStations and TVs for every room.
Oh
I bought.
God.
I spent all $3,000 that for, and of course I went and got booze, like as much booze as I could carry.
Yeah.
And I went home, and Dane ended up taking me to like a strip club, and
Classic Dane.
It was classic Dane. It was Biggins. I wanted to go to Lollipops, which is like the high end strip club in Daytona, and he took me to Biggins, which is like a really rundown one. But his logic was like the girls are a lot nicer there. And I remember I walked in and I changed $200 into ones, and I just threw it up in the air, and I was like, "What's up now?" This was on a Saturday. So then on Tuesday, I immediately quit my job too. I was working for that same buddy, and he came to pick me up on Monday, and I was like, I just didn't answer the door.
I'm rich.
And then he just walked in. He's like, the fuck you doing? I go, I'm not coming in today.
Oh my God.
And I deposited all that money into a bank. Actually, I take that back. So he convinced me.
That's tax free too. Because it's a settlement.
Yeah. So he convinced me to go to the bank. So I worked with him for like a week, and then I was drinking every night like crazy. He convinced me to deposit the money in the bank. And then the next week is when I was like, I'm not coming in anymore.
Oh my
I still
God.
have like, because money's hard to spend if you're just buying like food and booze. Like it lasts a lot longer than you think. So after a week of just getting drunk every day, I'd spent the original $3,000, but I still had like $15,000.
Oh my
so I was like, oh yeah, I quit. I'm never working again in my life. And then I would just call Dane like 4 times a week for the next 3 weeks, and we'd go to Biggins, and I'd do the whole money in the air thing.
Oh my
I went
God.
to the Oyster Pub, which was a big bar in town, and it was opening night. Redskins at the time playing Dallas, and my friend Alfred Morris, who I played college football with, was drafted by.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, if Alfred Morris scores a touchdown, I'll buy everyone in here around. And he did. First drive of the game, he scored.
Oh, my God.
They handed me the check, and it was like $973. And I remember leaving like a $200 tip like it was nothing. Like, that's just a G, whatever. I got 14 more of those bad boys.
Yeah.
And then
oh, my God.
just doing this life. That life.
That's awesome.
Didn't pay back my student loans. Didn't pay off my DUI. Didn't pay for anything.
For a month, dude.
I checked my account. I got the settlement early in the month, and I checked my account like towards the tail end of the month, and I was negative $117.
Oh my God.
I love
that.
it.
That is horrific.
No, you know what? It's not horrific.
That is
it's
horrific.
amazing because money doesn't fucking matter.
Nope.
You can't take it with you. That's how you got to live your life.
Dude.
It's on like, you know.
That stresses me out
And that
so
wasn't
much.
your
I'm talking about it now. It's just
No, don't be a coward. You did the right thing with it all.
Dude, you could have created a multi-million-dollar business.
the
No,
only.
you couldn't have because that was the mentality that he had. Is he wanted the money immediately that Saturday and he wanted to buy 3 Xboxes. That type of brain, that type of brain is never gonna fucking turn that into $1 million. So just spend it in a month.
I
Who gives a
remember
shit,
I went to Best Buy and I bought a laptop, and I was like, I want your fucking nerdiest, techiest, best fucking piece of equipment you offer. And they took me into like the Geek Squad back room, showed me a laptop that's for like professional coders.
Like a hacker.
It had like an i9 in it. Most computers now, to this day, this was 10 years ago, still don't have i9s in them.
Jesus.
They have like i5s. It had an Intel 9 core processor in it. And it was like, they were like, this is the best of the best of the best, sir. With honors, sir, Men in Black. And it was like $3,900, which is for a laptop a fucking lot.
Yeah.
But I paid, and dude, I was like, rack it up. When I had to pawn that laptop for like $70,
oh my
that's when I was
God.
like, God
That one
damn.
hurts.
Because I was like, that laptop was the last thing. I sold the Xboxes, I sold the PlayStations, I got rid of almost everything in the apartment except one TV, one Xbox, and that laptop.
How old were you?
22.
22. Okay, see,
That's fair.
That's fair. So like,
It's a 22-year-old mentality.
When I was 26, I retired from the call center that I was working at, and I cashed out my 401k, and that was something I ended up having like 18 grand.
Damn.
And I was like,
Shaking his head.
and that's when I was like, I'm
Crazy.
gonna move to LA, and I'm gonna pursue comedy in that fashion with 18,000. Then some things happened. There was a girl. There was a lot of things, and I ended up going through that in about 9 months, which is
That's
not
admirable.
bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but the shit that I was doing is I was living off of that and like money I was making doing the road and comedy and
Yeah.
shit. And I was also though like 3 days a week during the day just in gym shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops hanging out at the casino.
Oh my God.
And I was
Ray.
just gambling, and then I was like eating fucking.
What are you gambling? Because you're not going, if you made that money last 9 months, you're not going like super high stakes.
Yeah, I was. You
were winning.
I was winning,
Oh, okay.
or I was losing at least like $300-400.
Okay,
at a
so it's
clip.
not like, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't.
It's not
doing
a
that.
$1,000 bar tab.
No.
I mean, it's not a competition,
But I was still spending money like crazy. Well, I was also 26. So I was 22.
He's a little bit
that's
more
true.
mature, you know?
That's
He's
true.
4 years more
God.
mature.
So when did you, because I remember the moment checking the account being like, it said negative, and I was like, fuck. When was that for you?
It was when I was like, I was living back with. So what happened is not only did I cash that out, but I also moved back in with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I was a little older. I was like 27, 28.
Let's go.
So I moved back.
Rack 'em up.
I moved back with my mom, and I was like, I'm gonna live here. You know, max.
This is after the money?
I get the money
Okay.
out. I move back home. I'm
Got it.
this is gonna last me 6 months, and then I'm gonna move to LA.
Yeah.
And I did not save it. I did not have a job and make more money. I was just out every night. I was going to LA just to hang out with friends and party. I was going to like Vegas, and I was just like going to like different trips.
Dude, so that makes it sound so much. That's fucking awesome.
I was doing whatever I wanted.
I thought you were like moved out to LA and then you were going to the casino 3 days a week, like in LA.
No, I didn't move to LA.
yeah.
I was living at my mom's in Pittsburgh.
So no rent, which
So
is nice.
yeah, that the smartest thing I did was paying for that apartment 6 months ahead of
front.
time, because after a month I was like, oh, I'm broke. And
Oh, you did that with some of the money.
Yeah. Some of
That's
the money.
fucking brilliant.
That is smart.
So I took $26,000. I gave that because they were only charging me like $1,000 a month. So I gave them $6,000.
That's great.
And especially when it's all cash up front, they're like,
huge.
yeah, we'll only charge you $1,000 for a 3-bedroom apartment.
Oh my
That's
God.
nice.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I need 3 TVs, 3 Xboxes, 3 PlayStations.
So it was definitely one of those things where just because I never even set up the electric. I never even set up the cable because I was using their Wi-Fi from the business.
Oh my God.
So I never even had to set up the internet or anything. I never set up the electric, and they're like, well, it's technically a separate apartment. You have your own meter. They're going to come and read it. And I would end up with like fucking little notices on my door because you had to go upstairs to get to my door. So I'd end up with like little notices that say like, don't forget to set up your electric, to you better fucking set up the electric, to hey, we're going to turn off your electric. I bought my own lock because obviously all the stuff is locked up like for the electric, for FPL. I bought my own padlock, cut theirs, put my own padlock on there so they couldn't get into the meter to turn off my electric.
Oh my God.
that's good.
That's so
good
funny.
move.
Yeah.
Well, I think that like I learned, like when I think about it a little bit, like it doesn't make me that angry because of, I'm okay now. Like I'm through it, like nothing. But like I do think about like how I was set up at the time to move somewhere to pursue comedy versus how I actually moved to New York to do comedy. And I was like, man, that was a fucking tough year of like living on a futon. I moved here with like $1,500. That was money that I made through a loan that I got from a friend's company that like I shouldn't have been approved for. And through a little scam with the 2 Pennsylvania casinos when they first started going online.
Yeah.
So it was like that compared to being able to move somewhere with like 15, 20 grand.
Dude, I think about that's the one thing because I had started doing comedy in 2009 at 21, but obviously I would do like a mic here and a mic there, and so by the time you fast forward, so I guess I was 23, 24 when this happened. So but it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I could have moved to New York or LA, but in my head, like I would have been dead if I would have done that. Like if I came to New York with $20,000 at 24 years old to do comedy.
Yeah.
Dude, you remind me right after I graduated college, I remember one of my buddies called me and I was like, what are you doing now? What are you working? He was like, I'm, bartending. And this is a guy, he lives in Long Beach. And he's like, I'm doing this thing with the mail, like mail advertisements. He explained this whole thing to me. And I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure that's mail fraud. And he was like, nah, it's good. It works. That is you guys right now. Yep. That's what it's reminding me
I'm doing this thing, with these people in this place.
I just mail these things. I was like, dude, that is so illegal. Yeah. And he's like, that's fine.
There's a couple of things where, and it's weird, and you see this probably being an attorney, but it's weird how quickly something can get away from you, like as far as legalities in a sense.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, I'll just, my buddy wants some weed, so I'll just bring him some weed from my place to his place. And it's like, oh, he's got friends there, and they want some weed too. So maybe I'll just bring a little extra, and I'll sell it to them. And then all of a sudden you're like thinking about it, and you're like, oh, if I get pulled over with like 2 ounces of weed in my car, like I'm going away to federal prison. Yeah. Like
you're fucked.
Yeah, so it's just one of those weird things how like something so innocent, like not even innocent, but just something so random can, like you have like this happened to me a lot where it was like, you have a couple of drinks at a bar after work, and then you're like, all right, I'm just going to go home. Because I would normally try to get shit-faced at home because I already had a DUI at this point. So, but it's just that weird thing where you're driving and you're like, I make this drive a million times. No, but then like a cop pulls up behind you and you're like, oh, my entire life could be over right now.
Fuck. Yeah.
Like just from having like 2 beers at a bar. And you're like, well, fuck. It's so weird how it can get away from you.
Oh, it really can.
I mean, I even on a much, much lower scale and lower level, I remember I had this thing for years where if I got a parking ticket on my car, I'd be like, fuck you. I don't pay for parking. It's America. You shouldn't have to do it.
I really like this Ray guy. He's one of the best.
Don't be rude.
And I also, I moved to New York, and then it was a point where like I wasn't paying parking tickets because I literally couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
So, fast forward, I think it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I got booted in Pittsburgh when I was visiting. And got hit for like a G. Damn. And then I came back here after like a little like trip, and go up to my apartment. The next day I come down to move for street cleaning. Boom, I'm booted in New York
Damn.
for another $1,000. So it was just like,
Yeah, it's easier to just now I try to live my life trying to nip this shit in the bud.
I know.
Just get it done.
And I've been
Yeah.
better at it.
Yeah.
Dude, we're over an hour.
Beautiful.
So that was a great episode. Let's wrap it up. You want to tell the people where they can find you? This is going to be out not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after.
That's perfect because I don't get booked on any show, so I have nothing to promote. At Brennan T Comedy on all social media. Check out my podcast, Ex Drinking Buddy, Ex Drinking Buddy. That's just it. I almost told you the one-man show. Check that out, too. We plugged that earlier. Both of you have been on my show.
Hell yeah, check it
time.
out.
It's been a blast. BrennanTComedy.com. You can look for my non-existent dates, and yeah, that's it.
Check Brennan out, everyone, and me. You can find me on Instagram at Ray Zawodni. You could check out my YouTube where I'll have a special coming out there in October.
Let's go!
That's Ray Zawodni.
Hell yeah!
And obviously here every single Wednesday, yucking it up, having a good time, talking shit with my good pal Dylan Krasinski. Dylan, where can they find you?
Ooh, at Dylan Krasinski on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and at Troublemakers on all those sites. We post clips 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 times a week I'm feeling motivated. And we are here every single Wednesday. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you.
We'll see you next week, baby.
Take it from the top.
Good night. Start over.